Sad music today as the Yankees really need to turn this thing around right now. Welcome back to the Empire Sports of Mind podcast. Joining me as always is John. Let's just jump right into it, John. What do you think on the
It's
Yankees?
it's as Aaron Boone says, it's right in front of us, right? It's right in front. No, it's really not. I mean,
We
they
just got to
they
find it. That's what he says.
they, they just got to find. They're close. They're close to turning the
Mhm.
corner. Hey, it's all about the process. The process is still really well run. It's just the results aren't there. The
Yeah,
process is
process
great.
over
You know,
results.
you have guys with great track records out there. Donaldson won an MVP in 2014. That's why the team's going to turn around. He won an MVP in 2014. But I mean, the bottom line is, ever since Judge went down with the injury, the season was over. We just didn't know it at that time. You go up and down the lineup. I mean, you only have one guy hitting above average, and that's Gleyber Torres. And he isn't really having a great or special year, but he's just having an above average year. And that's the
He's
only
been
guy
solid.
that's been hitting. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to kill him. He's a guy that he's on like a 9-game hitting streak right now. He's the only guy keeping, getting some hits for the team because everyone else is not hitting. Peraza came up. He had a couple good at bats, but I mean, up and down the lineup is just so putrid. It's so boring to watch this team. After 3 innings, I turned it off because what the result's going to be. They're going to have 3 hits and they're going to lose 5-1, and which they're about to get swept by the Angels tonight. They're losing right now 6-2, and the guy has 10 strike. He had 10 strikeouts in 5 and 2/3 inning, and the guy had going into the game he had like a 4.80 RA. I mean, it's putrid.
5-3. And you look up and down the lineup, and every single guy in the lineup, I don't think is going to have a better year next year. I mean, Rizzo's going into his age like 35 or 36 season next year. Donaldson, he's cut. Volpe, Peraza, yeah, will have maybe better years. DJ's going to get worse. Stanton's going to get worse. Judge is approaching his mid 30s. He's not going to replicate 62 home runs. He might get worse. And the team is, and Cole's getting older. Rodon, I guess maybe will be better next year. Hopefully he's on the field. But the team is getting worse. The window is closing. And I think this is like I'm really looking around. There's nobody coming off the payroll next year. The Yankees are in a really bad situation unless, something kind of miraculous has to happen, honestly. So
I think the
yeah.
window's closed. I
Mhm.
I think this era the window's closed. The Judge era, you could call it. I mean, look at all the teams in their division. The Baltimore Orioles are more advanced than the Yankees. They have so many great prospects. They've come up now into the MLB, and they're a great hitting team. They're above the Yankees now. The Blue Jays, great hitting team. They're above the Yankees now. The Rays have always been above the Yankees, more advanced. So all these teams are getting better, and the Yankees are staying stagnant and getting worse. So I mean,
Mhm.
they distanced themselves from these top teams in the league now. It's getting really
Every
bad. The
single
Yankees,
yeah.
yeah, go on.
Mhm. Every single one of these teams has like guys who are top prospects. Wander Franco for the Rays. No, even a
Listen,
Rosarena for the Rays and other guys. Adley Rutschman. These guys end up being good. These are studs. These are going to be like great players. Like some of these players are already extended to monster deals, $300 million deals. How come none of the Yankees' top prospects are even MLB level players? Miguel Andujar out of the league. Clint Frazier, I think he's out of the league. Maybe he was like a
yeah,
bench player with the White Sox this year. Torres was like a prodigy. He's slightly above average this year. Volpe, prodigy. Just his rookie year, but hasn't lit the world on fire. And Peraza, another top 3, top 2 prospect, has really not performed at all. It's none of the Yankees prospects, and not to mention they haven't drafted a good pitching prospect in 20 years. When was the last homegrown pitching prospect that they've had? Garrett Cole, signed, acquired. Rodon, acquired. Severino, good for 2 years, blew out his arm. They don't have any good pitchers that they naturally developed either. It's really bad farm system, and you have to look at the guy who's sitting at the head of the table. That's Brian Cashman for me.
yeah. And look, you're right. The pitching prospects, you could say, Jordan Montgomery, they traded him. He's long gone, but was he that great? Dylan Betances, he was a great pitcher that was probably one of the guys the Yankees developed that was pretty good, but he was a bullpen arm. I mean, that's not really going to be that much of a game changer for your team. I mean, having a good closer is pretty important, but that's not going to be a game changer. You're right. I mean, Brian Cashman, as much as people, like to defend him and praise him, I'm done with him. I mean, the guy is awful. I mean, you look at his. I mean, look, I was always a big Brian Cashman defender. Matthew, you know it. Our guest Gill, he knows that I've always been a big defender. But enough is enough with this guy. I mean, this guy cannot draft, as you said. He's constructed these teams with big, high payrolls, and no results stem from it. They've been to the World Series since 2009. And they've been to the playoffs. There are a lot of one and done. getting swept by the Astros, not even in the same league as them last year. I mean, they're not close to winning a championship, and they're never going to get close with Brian Cashman at the helm. It's just the bottom line. The Yankees have to accept it, but it seems like
Mhm.
he has a job for life, which is the
Yeah.
unfortunate reality of things.
And no, and having the biggest payroll and having the ability to make these big trades, what type of research are they doing on the players they sign and acquire? Where Carlos Rodon has a chronic back issue, they didn't even pick that up when they signed him. Rodon has a bad elbow, bad forearm, is out for the year. Sorry, not Rodon, Montas. Canely was out the first 2 months of the year. None of the pitchers they get are even healthy on the field. Not to mention, I think the one thing Cashman maybe has been slightly above average at is dumpster diving for back end relievers. Maybe
Mhm.
that's been okay. Ian Hamilton, okay. Clay Holmes got him in a minor trade, okay. Other than that, with any big signing, any budget allocation, any prospect, oversight, he's been one of the worst general managers in baseball, probably. I mean, the Rays
Mhm.
have such a 1/6 of the Yankees' money to spend on their team, and how are they light years ahead of the Yankees? It doesn't even make
Yeah.
sense. It's just really it's bad.
No, you're right. Even the Orioles, how much payroll do they have? They dread and look, they had some dark years, but the Orioles are good in the early mid 2010s, right? And
They
they only
were.
had
They made the playoffs.
four
Yeah.
dark years, and now they
Mhm.
rebuilt. They got a couple first round picks, draft picks, and they drafted well. Now they're looks like they'd be a future powerhouse. I mean, right now they're in second place. They're getting out of first place right now.
Yeah, and
After last
everyone's
year,
young
they
on
they
that
had
team. Mhm.
yeah, everyone's young. Maybe the Yankees had to do something like that. Maybe not, a total rebuild because of such a high payroll, but maybe retool and sacrifice making the playoffs for 2 or 3 years to get, maybe to rebuild a little bit. Which I
Mhm.
think there's no other option here. I mean, as you said, the team is all old. Like, who are you building around? Anthony Volpe, yeah, I guess you can argue that it's his first year. You're not really going to kill him that much. Maybe you can still build around him. He had a good, obviously he was probably one of the best prospects in baseball coming up. So you can build around him, maybe Peraza. But other than that, you got to rebuild and you got to start it now because all these guys are old and it's DJ LeMahieu's done. Stanton, I think his you watch him running in the outfield last night. I mean, it looks like his legs are pulled pork. I mean, he's
Mhm.
done. The guy is
Yeah.
absolutely done. The guy can't play the field. Bader looks like he's he had a good stretch in the playoffs and then going into the start of the season. But if that's over, it doesn't look like he's returned to form as an
Mhm.
average to below average hitter, great fielder, but he's not really going to be that much of a game changer. It just looks like this roster from top to bottom is really bad for the New York Yankees. This team to be considered the New York Yankees, the gold standard of in all four major sport leagues. It's embarrassing. This team should not even wear the logo of the New York
Mhm.
Yankees. It's really pitiful.
Yeah, and then it's really come down to two guys for me, Judge and Garrett Cole, the two faces of the team. They've kind of lived up to their end of the bargain. Judge hasn't been on the field, a freak injury. This one, I'm not really going to knock him for it. But Cole, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Judge, the second best player in baseball. No, they've lived up to that moniker. Everyone else, though, big, guys who received a lot of money from the Yankees, and Donaldson, Stanton, Rizzo. And Rizzo this year, he looks like Joey Gallo without the home runs. He's hitting like 150 and doesn't have any slug in the past since I don't know June.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not a lot of
two
hope for
years.
this team.
Yeah, 2 years ago they should have went after Matt Olson. I mean, that was
Mhm.
right. He went right into their hands. He was hanging out with John Boy and that crew over there. And they had to trade a couple of prospects. The prospects always think anyway from the Yankees. So what were they really going to sacrifice there with
Yeah.
Matt Olson?
Mhm.
Or even signing Freddie Freeman, they could have got him for nothing as well. Like they had so many guys that Rizzo always had back issues, and I always said this. When they signed him, I liked Rizzo. He's a likable guy, but this guy has back issues. And I think that's what it's killing him now. Ever since he got stepped on by Tatis, I think it re-aggravated something in him,
Yeah.
and he hasn't been the same player since. And because
Yeah.
he's not really old, he's 32, so you would think he's at the end of his prime,
I
but it
know.
looks like he's washed up. It looks like he's washed up because these injuries have caught up to him. I think the
Yeah.
Yankees should have realized that when not going after Freeman and when not going after Olson and going after Rizzo instead. So that was their mistake, and that was Cashman. Goes back to Cashman again.
Mhm. Yeah, doesn't have a home run since May. I mean, first baseman, you're supposed to get some power from that position. He's really looked, kind of handicapped out there, and and there's no replacement. He's going to be on the team next year. The Yankees have shown they're not cutting guys that make $20 million. No, a la Donaldson this year. He's going to be on the team next year. So it's kind of like for the Yankees right now, it's DJ's locked up 3 more years. Stanton, 4 more years. Rizzo another year. It's like, let's cross our fingers and hope they start to perform. That's the attitude of the Yankees right now. And honestly, that's the best the fan can hope for, because you can't move on from these guys, and the Yankees have shown that they're not willing to either.
Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing when you have this guy Boone. Well, actually, we're gonna bring up our first guest of the night, Gil Cosenza. He was in another series back when the Jets ended the season. Crazy Jets fan. Now he's a crazy Yankees fan. Going to react to. Let's play the Bruin presser from last night after the loss last night. Let's play one of the questions there.
These guys are pissed. Mm-hmm. How pissed are you?
Look, we got a lot of pride in here, and you want to win, and that's why we show up every day, right?
What a great
goal
question.
Is to shake hands at the end of the day, and we're trying to be the best team we can be. Try not to look. There's moments in time where you get frustrated and upset, but you get that'll weigh you down. That'll wear you down. You start getting overly emotional, high, low, mad. Look, we're human. There's going to be things in the moment that frustrate you. Our job is to work and figure it out.
You said earlier that 6:40 you want to go out there and play like a kid.
6:38.
6:30. I'm wondering if you feel like maybe.
Yo, what's up? What are your thoughts on that right there?
Yankees are unwatchable. Bruin is just a puppet of Cashman, and honestly, it's the same story. I miss the days of George. I mean, George was crazy. George did crazy things, but George was win at all costs. We don't have that with Hal. Cashman has a job. He's like a Supreme Court justice for life. They haven't won since George died. Yet they refuse to do anything that George did. They have a big payroll. If I was them, I would fire everyone and get every one of Tampa's scouting, Tampa's GMs. They got a payroll about what, $60 million and a competitive every year. Like you made a good point about their drafting pitchers. They're terrible. Even the trade for pitchers. AJ Happ, Sonny Gray, Freddie Montas. I mean, these are the big acquisitions. I mean, let's face this guy Cashman's a joke. And not even to mention he should have been fired years ago just for the Ellsbury signing, where he gave all that money and the guy was not going to give us anything. So, listen, I think the Yankees are unwatchable. And you talked about pitchers. I mean, they did have Chamberlain. They ruined him by making a reliever. They had Phil Hughes.
Trampoline incident.
Prospect. He was good as a good reliever, but they're not able to. They always overevaluate their prospects. And I remember what Steinbrenner used to say, George. He said we could always get more prospects. If you use your prospects and get the play. I mean, listen, if George was around, we would have got Verlander in 17. We won the World Series. He would at least stop them from going to Houston. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what he was thinking. And honestly, the team is unwatchable. I got Yankee fans I grew up with, saying that this is probably the most horrible offensive team. It's probably since the early 70s or the 90s. And this team is hard to watch. I mean, those teams in the early 70s, at least we had Mercer or White Munson, we had, Nettles and things like that. But this team is like unwatchable. There's nothing worse than old guys that are like Rizzo. What's wrong? AJ LeMay, LeMayu. He's
DJ
Donaldson. It's just these guys, and even like Labor Torres, they're going to shake it up. Trade, make a big splash, make a trade. Just clean house. I would fire Cashman and just shake it up. But it's like I don't know what the game plan is, because I don't see them. They're not going to make the playoffs. And honestly, as a Yankee fan, I don't want them to make the playoffs.
actually, the manager Aaron Boone, he has a couple things to say about some in-house reinforcements coming along.
The team needs a little bit, man.
We got a couple of in-house big pieces.
The team needs a little bit, man.
We got a couple of in-house big pieces on the horizon too, you might say. So,
one. He's pretty fucking big, but you got one.
What about Nestor? What about Loizaga?
Nestor's great. He's not a game changer. The starting pitching hasn't been a terrible problem. It's the offense. Nestor helps an area of okay, like you're good. Loizaga helps the bullpen, which needs help. The offense is 27th ranked offense in MLB. Like that's where we need some help.
Yeah, I think Judge will help that a little bit.
Judge is not coming back this year. You know that. This is all a facade. He's not coming back, and the whole team is. Listen, I hope I really don't want them to make the playoffs. I don't want them to go out. They're going to go in one game and lose first series. And honestly, I think Cole's going to opt out too. I think that and
after next year, he has an opt out after next year.
Don, like you said, he had chronic injuries, and they signed him to $30 million. I mean, I don't know who's making these decisions. I mean, they have all these analytic nerds, but does anyone look at if these guys are going to be good? We get Joey Gallo. People have told me inside that said Joey Gallo will never be a good player in New York because of his personality. This is what people inside baseball told me, and yet the Yankees get Joey Gallo. So who's doing the evaluations on this? And like I said, I told you, Cashman should have been gone 4 or 5 years ago, and I think Boone should have been gone after 18 or 19. Maybe 18 he did first year. By 19 he should have been gone. So I don't know what questions you want to ask me, but I just think the team stinks.
Yeah. Well, I think that I don't know about after 18 or 19, they had a great year. I think that was the closest they've gotten since 17, right? I mean, 19 they lost. What they lose ALCS in 6 games after that Altuve home run. That was probably the closest they got. I think after 21 or 20.
That's the latest. 20 was also unsuccessful. They lost in the DS. 21.
Well, yeah,
was
I think
wild
19 was a good year. After 20, then you had some questions, and then after 21, I think you should have let him go.
21 was a wild card loss, and then not only his contract was up and they re-upped him like 4 more years. Same with Cashman. Oh, they get swept in the LCS. Yeah, perfect. Let's 5 more years as the GM. They re-sign him. Doesn't make any sense. They don't reward the play.
Hal does not want to deal with the team. He's very comfortable with Cashman. He doesn't really want to be involved. He just wants to defer it to Cashman, so he doesn't really have to talk to him. They trust blindly in him. And I gotta be honest with you, the trade for Donaldson is another reason he should have been fired. Because why can we just keep Urshela was a better third baseman? He was a club hitter. He got bases, good in the clubhouse, really nice man, a guy who did so much charity. Visit hospitals, schools. He did whatever the Yankees. He represented the Yankees the right way. And they get rid of him for this fool Donaldson, who nobody likes.
And Kiner Falefa, big piece.
Yeah. Kiner Falefa is not a bad ball player as a utility player. He should be playing every day.
He's not horrible.
He doesn't play good outfield, though. So how's he utility? He can't really play outfield.
They don't have a left field. They got everyone playing out of position. I mean, what kind of dumb team is this? You got no one got guys in the outfield playing the outfield. You got guys, out of position. And so it's like, it really works than Little League. I mean, I don't, and you know what? Rizzo, maybe that was a bad move. Maybe he's gone. They should have, like you said, and I think you mentioned they should have went for either Freeman or Olsen. Listen, they made a big move that Cashman should also be criticized is why he got Stanton. They had Judge. They should have never got Stanton. They should have got. You need lefty power in Yankee Stadium, not all this right-handed dominant power.
The thing,
Harper that year, not.
Yeah. But I think it's tough to kill him for that because Stanton came off in 2018 when they traded for him. He had the MVP year in 17. And Miami, the Marlins gave him for essentially nothing. So I don't know if you can.
But you know what? You know who fleeced him? You know who fleeced Cashman? Jeter, because Jeter knew what Stanton was.
Well, they get Starlin Castro.
And you know what? He had a vendetta against Cashman, and he got it back. And he
got random players back. They didn't fleece stuff.
No, I think well, they did really offload that contract, which is probably. I mean, but the Marlins have stunk since then, so I don't think that really helped them out as much.
You know that Cashman and Jeter, when he was negotiating for his last contract, Cashman and him, they really are not friends anymore after that.
Well, yeah, I think that. I think a GM and a player is not going to have a great relationship.
I don't
matter what team you go
to. I don't think that's like a deciding factor. I think the thing is, Stanton, and you knew Harper was going to be free agent the next year. If you wanted lefty power, maybe they should have been thinking that way. But you know what? The way they overvalued their prospects in 2017, following that year, they thought they had a star or something in Greg Bird too. Oh, lefty power.
Yeah.
And obviously that wasn't true. But they overvalue all these. They probably thought they had a star in Greg Bird, lefty power right there. I mean, again, that's on Cashman. But it's the Stanton.
I mean, no, their farm system.
Yeah.
Look, they have the top of the farm system is pretty solid. I mean, Dominguez, you had this guy Pereira, Everson Pereira, the outfielder. But the bottom of it, the middle of it, the depth of it is really not great. I mean, compared to these other teams and the pitching wise, they had no one except their top guys. I mean, that's why the Yankees just don't draft well. I know they haven't had really high picks, but teams such as the Astros, they've had high picks. They've drafted pretty well since
They're
then.
Pitching
the Dodgers have drafted well. So I mean, the Yankees, haven't had high picks, but other teams comparable to them, the picks that they had, they've done pretty well. So I mean, that's not a fair take as well. I don't know, man. I mean, the Yankees, you're right, Gil. I think they have to fire Cashman. I think they have to fire Boone. They need a total retool. I think they have to get rid of their owner as well. They have to sell the team, but that's obviously not going to happen. I think he'll continue. Yeah, I don't know. He has no interest he has more interest in collecting action figures than getting good baseball players and a good general manager. But that's neither here nor there. I think the Yankees are in big trouble. in the future.
Yeah,
There's
And I'm
really
not,
no future.
and honestly, like you said too, all the other teams are getting younger and better, and the Yankees are getting older. And if I
Yeah.
was the Yankees right now, I'd be sellers at the trade deadline. I know you don't want to hear it, but not Loizaga, like Peralta, Clay Holmes, maybe some of their bullpen guys could get you some
Sure.
young things because people in the pennant races
Mhm.
or teams that need a thing, those are your chips right now. And I would trade Torres too. I mean, I had enough of him. I know he's a great, good ball player, but I would look at those chips, which I think is in the bullpen. I know you're going to cash in this season, but what can you get for Clay Holmes? What can you get Peralta? What can you get? You might as well try to see what's out there. But the Yankees won't do that. I think they should consider that. Even when if Judge comes back, are they going to be a championship team? Now they'll say, well, the American League East is not that strong, but the bottom line is, do you see them beating Houston in the playoffs?
Of
Baltimore,
course not.
even Toronto. Do you even see them, beating
No.
Cleveland? I think Cleveland would be a stretch right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I think
no,
that the pieces to trade, I would agree, are in the bullpen. Maybe there's somebody Torres you can trade. Maybe somebody wants a backup defensive, like good defensive catcher, Trevino, Higashioka. I agree. I think I would sell. I think most of the pieces would be from the bullpen. You can't sell guys like Rizzo. Who wants Rizzo? Who wants Donaldson? Who wants other guys? And if you're going to trade Torres, it's also another knock on Cashman. So you can move Volpe to second base and could have signed one of those great shortstops, those two great shortstop classes. Another instance of like malpractice on Cashman's part. But I agree. Should be sellers.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that also. I think they also should look at trading Stanton. Now I know Stanton has that big contract; it'd be hard to trade, but I would include like a pretty decent prospect along with Stanton. Maybe you trade Torres, Stanton, and a great prospect off of that contract, and try to go after Ohtani this offseason.
Maybe like the
I think,
Dodgers like that. Mhm.
Yeah, the Dodgers maybe would. I mean, the Dodgers are probably saving up for Ohtani in the offseason, but maybe they consider doing that, adding a guy that maybe in a change of scenery, he still could hit a ball, pretty far. He's still a great power hitter. It's just the injury concerns. But maybe
guys,
the
just want to tell
Pirates
you,
would consider it.
I would tell you Tuesday night, 8 p.m. I'm going to have ex-Yankee trainer, 39 years, Gene Monahan, going to be on my show, Flashback Sports with Gil and Dave. Going to talk about all this stuff, load management, all the stuff that we love, why pitchers get hurt more, why there's changes in the game. So tune in if you want to see that. I think you may like to hear the perspective of a trainer. It seems like you guys agree too. Like, why are all these pitchers getting hurt? Why them seem to be all these guys are built and work out all the time? Why did it seem like so many more injuries than they did years ago? Or did those guys just play hurt and we didn't know about it years ago? I don't know. That's what I want to ask Gene Monahan about that.
Totally.
Plays
That'd be great.
Today.
We'll tune in and watch Flashback Sports with Gil and Dave. Thank you, Gil.
Right. Thanks for coming on.
As always,
great show as always, and I think they'll win a pennant in another 25 years.
Yeah. End of our.
We'll see about that.
Maybe.
We'll see about that. Yeah. All right, Matthew. I think we have one more person backstage there. Emmett, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Hey guys, how you guys doing?
What's up?
Good. You're good. We're not happy about the Yankees, but we're good.
So, an interesting topic for Yankees fans has been manager Aaron Boone. While he's rightfully been under criticism for the team's recent performance, I don't think his management decisions have been that bad. While the bullpen has recently blown some games, it's been the top guys that have really struggled. Clay Holmes gave up that grand slam, Tommy Kahnle has struggled, and Michael King is in a bad stretch. You can't fault Boone for these struggles. Boone has also started Volpe every single day, gotten Stanton into the outfield, and has batted Peraza lead off. The team's recent struggles fall on Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, and a terrible roster construction of old, washed-up has-beens. To me, this doesn't fall on Boone. What do you guys think?
And I was saying this earlier. I thought, a lot of the struggles have been Holmes recently. The bullpen's been solid overall, like on the whole this year. But some of the blown saves, Holmes gives up a grand slam. Kahnle gives up a couple runs. Marinaccio blows the game in the 12th inning. So those are your top guys, and at least they're going to the top guys. I think the question lies more like the management decisions from the bullpen. I would agree haven't been that bad. I think the question lies more of, is this team really playing? You got to play for your manager. You got to play for your coaches. Does this team really want to play for Boone? It seems like they put up such a lethargic effort, night in, night out. I don't think Boone may have lost command of the locker room, lost the respect of the locker room. And, that could definitely be a big concern. But John, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point with the top guys struggling. I mean, Boone's not out there on the mound. He only has so much he can control with the decisions there. But I go back to that game against the Rockies where he put in Nick Ramirez in extra innings. I mean, because he only Clay Holmes was available in a save situation. I don't agree with that. I mean, your team is out of the playoffs. They're out of the playoffs right now. They're 2 games out of the wild card. You have to play every game like it's your last. There's no comfortability anymore. Like if they were top in the division, up the division by 5 games, you could do that. You have some room to do that to rest your guys. But right now, it's you gotta unload the guys. I don't care. No rest. I mean, you got to treat every game like it's a playoff game now because it is. You got to win these games. And look, I know I agree with you. I mean, Boone, there's only so much you can control, but I mean, you do have to question, the voice and how the players are receiving him day in and day out. Are they, playing for him? And you got to have. I think they need a different voice. It's time. It's really time for this.
I agree. It's about the voice. And to me, there's disjunction almost between the Cashman and Boone. Right, this guy Peraza is in AAA. He's not good enough to be on the roster, but as soon as he's on the roster, he hits leadoff. I think that's not a Boone problem. I'm okay with him hitting leadoff, but why was he not on the roster? So it's like this disjunction between Boone and Cashman. And Boone's been manager now 6 years, and they've always abided by these rules. They don't pitch pitchers 3 days in a row. No, I don't necessarily agree with it. Other teams do not do it. They pitch the guys 3 days in a row, and the other pitchers, quite frankly, they don't get injured. So I don't know where they're getting some of this data from. They can't pitch guys 3 days in a row. But like you said, desperate times call for desperate measures. They have to be willing to break these rules. And games where they're really struggling to win, what if they won 2 out of the last 8? In their opportunities to win, they have to be willing to use those guys. Even sometimes 2 days in a row, if he throws a lot of pitches on 1 to 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, 3 out of 4 days, 4 out of 5 days, it becomes like the playoffs starting out. You haven't built yourself enough of a lead to fool around like this. So yeah, it's frustrating. Emmett, do you think the Yankees are going to buy or sell at the deadline?
I mean, I think the Yankees should buy. I mean, if you look at the front end of their starting rotation, it's quite formidable. So that's what I stand.
I mean, yeah, they would be.
Who do you think? Who would they?
Rodon, but Rodon's not pitching well. But Cole in a 7-game series, in theory, you have some off days. He could pitch 1, 4, and 7. So that's 3 games if he's on his game.
That's true.
Those are 3 winnable games, and hopefully Rodon kind of irons it out. Maybe pitches 2 and 6 or 2 and 5. But I think they have a chance. But otherwise, the lineup, if you can't win if you don't score runs, and that's kind of where we're at right now. But hopefully they get judged.
I mean, who are your top guys for them to go after? Curious to hear.
I think Bellinger. I mean. And there's nobody who can they go after that would actually help the team. I think that's the real question. And for me, it's only Shohei Ohtani, 2-way player. I think there's nobody in the MLB who can actually solve the problems this team is having. They have one above average bat. You slot in a second above average bat. Is that really going to make a difference? Now you're getting maybe a couple solo home runs here and there. To me, there are no good answers. I think Shohei Ohtani, improves the rotation and the lineup. But other than that, it's not like, we upgrade catcher, now we're a better team. I think anybody who's saying that there's these upgrades, we just target a couple guys and now we're good, that's just not true. You've not been watching the team if you think that's the case. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for them to be buyers, but I love, the trade deadline when your team's in the pennant race and you're about to acquire all these big stars. I would love for the Yankees to be in that position, but I think you're right, man. I think one player like Cody, like a guy like Cody Bellinger, who's realistic for them to acquire, is he really going to help your lineup that much? Like he's going to add a few hits a night? Like is he really going to bring them over the top? They're losing 6-3 to the Angels right now. If they had him in the game tonight, they're going to win the game tonight? No. Like really, no. I mean, look, if you're a contender, yeah, he would help. He would help a team like the Dodgers, like the Orioles, like the Rays. But the Yankees, he's not going to help. The Yankees are not that close. And look, I would love for maybe they could be buyers and sellers. You could do both. You could do both.
Retool
business at the end. They could retool. Like they're probably gonna go. They're gonna want to go under the luxury tax. They're $5 million over it right now. So I saw rumors that they want to go under that. That doesn't really surprise me. How's a cheap F? I mean, it really doesn't surprise me there. I think they're going to probably trade pieces like Gil said, like Wandy Peralta, Clay Holmes, see what you can get for them. I think Gleyber Torres is one of the guys that you're going to see it's not going to be on the team. I really think that's going to be a guy that's going to be off the team because that's one of the guys that has value on the team right now. He's been hitting recently. I think that you get maybe two solid prospects for him, maybe even more. Maybe starting a relief pitcher. So I think that's one of the guys that's going to be offloaded as well.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Emmett, for coming on.
Thank you, man.
All right. Bye.
Thanks.
All right. We've done a lot of negative Yankees talk. Maybe let's move
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah, where should
no,
we go? Where do you want to go next, Matthew? It's
let's
your
go.
call.
Let's go some football. Let's go Jets report. Giants end their contract dispute with Saquon Barkley by not giving him a contract. He's going to play on the tag, although he said maybe he won't play. He won't report to camp. Still some ambiguity there. Let's see what he said.
Yep.
I could say fuck you to the Giants. I could say fuck you to my teammates and be like, you want me to show you my worth? You want to show you how valuable I am to the team? I won't show up. I won't play it down. And that's a play I can use. Anybody knows me knows that's not something I want to do. But like it's something that crossed my mind. It's like I never thought I would ever do that, but like now I'm at a point where it's like, Jesus, like I might have to take it to this level. And like, am I willing, am I prepared to take it to the level? I don't know. That's something I got to sit down and like, I got to talk to my family. I got to sit down, talk to my team. Got to really.
Interesting comments from him. Really interesting. I mean,
yeah, I don't
know your
believe
take
you're
on that.
gonna sit out in the market. No, you lose. You don't make the money and you just sit out. You lose the $10.1 million. I don't think, next year you come off, you're waiting a year. The Le'Veon Bell contract from the Jets, that ended up being a disaster. Like this guy sat out the franchise tag, got a big contract. Exactly what Saquon Barkley is threatening to do ended up being a disaster for the team. And so I don't think another team's going to really fall for that again. Le'Veon Bell was probably better than Saquon Barkley. So I think, you'd have big problems if he's going to have to end up playing on the tag. It seems like he ended up kind of being selfish too. Maybe the guaranteed money was greater than two consecutive franchise tags at the end, but I don't know.
It could be. It could have been. It probably was close enough that it wasn't worth taking. I don't really fault him for not taking the. I mean, but really, what is he competing against? There's no running back market anymore. I mean, NFL teams have realized that the running back position is not really one of importance. And I hate to say that because I love watching these great running backs compete in the NFL. Like Derrick Henry's so fun to watch. Josh Jacobs this past year, who actually also got the franchise tag. But these guys are fun to watch, but they're really not. They're replaceable. The bottom line is they are replaceable. And you had a team like the Kansas City Chiefs last year. They won with the 7th rounder, and whatever you pronounce his name, Pacheco. I mean, they won with him last year. So, I mean, these guys are replaceable. Like, Saquon Barkley he really doesn't have a number that he could say to a team, like, I want this number because this guy got that. There really is no one that he has no leverage in negotiations.
Yeah, and there's no leverage even if he sits out. Guys on the free agent market, good running backs who are not getting any contracts right now, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Leonard Fournette on the free agent market. They haven't even gotten a contract. And that also looms over. Like, I heard the Jets have been interested in Cook. If Saquon Barkley says he's not going to play, as the Giants, you could just say, we're going to pick up Leonard Fournette. He's going to be a solid, good running back at a cheap price, like, after week 1 or something. And Saquon Barkley has no leverage. He's to me, he's just losing out on $10 million if he's going to sit out. He really is not in a position to end up doing it. And ultimately, and if he has another good year, he's going to be tagged again by the Giants. And that's just how it is. I mean, I kind of, from the Giants' perspective, it makes total sense. Why would you pay running back 4 years?
100%.
Makes total 100%. Sense by the Giants. But I know Saquon Barkley's a nice guy, seemingly a good player. I kind of feel bad for him. But from I'm looking at the cap, I'm looking at the Giants as a whole. I think it's good by the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, look, unfortunately for Saquon Barkley, I'm not really going to feel that bad for him. He's still making $10 million this year. It's a lot of money. Sure. But you do feel bad for him in the sense that he plays a position where you're not really going to get that big money, like a defensive tackle or a quarterback, obviously, or a wide receiver, even for that fact. So, he just plays a position that's not really valued by teams anymore, and that's the bottom line. I mean, you have guys like Derrick Henry. He's making big money. We don't really know the numbers on the top guys, top earners in the running back position, but I don't think it's not really that much. Recently, it really has been much because didn't Tony Pollard also get the tag and Josh Jacobs on the Raiders? Those are also guys that got the tag. So that's the team's play right now. You play on the rookie contract for 3 years, and you keep actually it's 4 years. Put up, sign up for that option. Then you just play him on tag for two more years.
Exactly.
It's a really solid play by these teams. No. I mean, why sign him for it? You're right. Why sign him for 4 years? $50 million if he's not because it's not. You see with these guys now, their prime is very short as a running back. The guy like who's the guy on the Colts that had a great Jonathan Taylor, right? I mean, no, I'm thinking of someone else, but what I'm trying to say is the running back primes. They only last like 2 or 3 years, and then they're done. I mean, and then they because it's such a grueling position. You're getting tackled every play, big hits. These guys take big hits as a running back, and you're running at full force against these
And you're running against
monsters on defense.
390-pound guys.
Yeah, it's such a grueling position. That's why their prime is so short, and that's why teams are not really investing that much in the position. And it makes sense, but it's unfortunate for these guys, obviously. But I think Saquon's. I don't think he's going to hold out. I don't think he's going to realize that it doesn't make any sense. Maybe he won't show up to the first day of training camp or the first week, and then he'll probably show up. Yeah, he'll do it to make a statement or to make a story, but other than that, I think he's definitely going to show up. But it's not really sitting out a whole year like Le'Veon Bell did, and then his career was over. So I don't think
I agree. I think he's going to end up playing. No, the Giants, we see them, I think, rather, intelligently prioritizing positions of need. Like, they paid their quarterback. They paid their defensive end, Dexter Lawrence. They're going to end up paying their left tackle, Andrew Thomas. Most important positions in football. And those are the ones they're prioritizing. The ones they haven't prioritized, running back. And it kind of makes sense. They've really followed the trends of the NFL market. Another one, to note for the Giants, they haven't prioritized middle linebacker. They signed Bobby Okereke to a big deal, but they don't have a second middle linebacker. Their projected starter, Jared Davis, out for the year now. So that was news for Giants.
It's the same position.
It's a position of weakness. It's a position they're not prioritizing. But, that's a minor note. But I think it's the Giants kind of textbook. You go look at the biggest positions, the most important positions, and you attack those. Offensive line, defensive line.
We actually have an update from the Jets camp. There's rumors that Denzel Mims is about to be traded to the Detroit Lions. So a guy that's been on the team. Don't know the deal yet. Justina Anderson just reported that she believes that a trade to send wide receiver Denzel Mims to the Detroit Lions is pretty much done. Still working through the details. So honestly,
it's not going to be funny. They were about to cut him.
It's not going to be. Look, they were about to cut him, but even if they got a 7th-round pick for him, I'll take it.
Yeah, honestly, they might be. They might be sending a 7th round to get a 7th round back or something ridiculous.
I don't know, but I think they would just release him at that point. I think they might get a 7th round pick because I think the team wants to guarantee that they get him. So look, good for them. I think Denzel Mims. Look, obviously he has talent, right? He was taken in the 2nd round in the draft, but he's been a total failure. I mean, he has no spot on this team. He probably wouldn't even made the roster, the 53-man roster. So they had to get rid of him. Good for him. He has a new scenery. Good for him. I hope he succeeds because he's not really a bad guy. He doesn't really cause any trouble.
There was no space for him at the end. The Jets, no space. Crowded wide receiver room now. Mecole Hardman, Corey Davis, Lazard, Cobb, who I saw is on pop. Wilson, obviously. So it's a crowded room. He wasn't going to get touches. I guess, maybe the Lions want to see something. But he was about to be cut, so he was off the team.
And the Jets actually, this is like not really important, but there was a rumor out there that a guy actually, an intern for the Jets, he tweeted out like a video of the Jets photo shoot, and then the part of the curtain was open, and you saw a Jets guy wearing like a throwback uniform with like the 1980s Jets, the old logo and like the all white. So that's like really exciting. The Jets are going to be bringing back the throwbacks, and immediately the guy deleted the tweet. Now they delete his Twitter account. So he probably got fired, the guy, from leaking something like that. I mean, what a legend right there. Leaking the thing.
That's on the Jets. The curtain was open.
I know the curtain was open. Why would you? But like, still, though, if I'm an intern for the New York Jets, that's a great job to be on. Why would you mess that up by leaking? Just wait another day for the fans, and we'll find out. They're gonna leak it tomorrow, probably. Like that's just that was very, very crazy stuff happening on Twitter today. That. Other than that, another crazy thing is one of the Michael Clemens, his entrance today was something else. Look at this. I mean, reporting to training camp last year, he reported without a shirt, and people were like, "How was he going to top last year's?"
This guy had 2.5 sacks this year, and you were saying before, it's almost like this is like WWE entrance, Breaking Bad. You said, and this guy had 2.5 sacks. I'm kind of a little crazy. Like who is this guy to be doing this? But
well, actually, I mean, look, I'm not going to kill him for that. He's just a guy that's just very. I don't know what it is. He's a tough ass, obviously, but he's very funny. If you see interviews with him, he's so funny.
Why is he carrying a bat with barbed wire? Look at this. There's barbed wire around the bat. What's going on?
I don't know, Matt. He was probably planning this out for at least a couple of months before the entrance. This guy, no, he's really funny though. Like, I can't wait for Hard Knocks to come out and Michael Clemens. Like, they're going to interview him. He's going to give them nothing, probably. The guy is actually insane. Like, I cannot wait for this guy's going to be the star of Hard Knocks right here. He's such a
Yeah, that was news. The Jets got Hard Knocks. They also report a week earlier than all other teams, right? They play in the Hall of Fame game or something.
For the Hall of Fame game, yeah.
Yeah, so that's news. So they've reported.
Please, I hope no one gets hurt.
They've reported. Rogers has reported. Everyone's reported. Any holdouts, John?
No holdouts. Actually, the big news was they signed Quinn Williams to a big extension a week ago. So no drama there. HBO was looking for some drama, and they didn't get any. So Jets are all good. I'm really happy for Quinn Williams. I think it's a really fair contract. Really played like he was an All-Pro the past year, and he deserved the contract. Played like an absolute superstar.
It was 4 years, right? Not 5.
4 years, $96 million, like 60 guaranteed. So it's a contract that's like basically, I think, 3 additional years, and after that they got him. So it's really not. I think it really makes sense for both sides. Really happy for him. Four additional years. So it's 5. So he's on the contract this year, and then 4 years. So 5 years they have him at least. So I'm really happy. They needed to re-sign. That was the first Jets draft pick that they've re-signed him to a big contract since like. I think it was Leonard Williams, or even like back in 2010 it was. It's been a while since the Jets have re-signed one of their draft picks, so that's good to see. Finally a draft pick working out, right? It's been a long time coming for that. But I'm really excited for football season. First practice is tomorrow. We'll see some overreactions with Rodgers throws his first interception probably. You'll see all that. He's a bust and stuff like that. I can't wait for that. That's when, football. I can't even pay attention to baseball season. I'm just ready for football season to start. So ready for it, even if it's training updates on Twitter.
Thank goodness it's on the horizon because of how bad the Yankees have been. If the Yankees were like, they were winning every game, maybe it'd be fun. But I'm just looking forward to football, the Rangers, the Knicks, they're coming back. And, it's on the horizon now. Excited. Football especially. Jets reporting, Giants report next week.
I know.
Spring training in August games, so it's exciting.
It's really getting close. Next, we'll talk about the Rangers free agency. So, the Rangers made a couple of moves, not really splashy, but they made a couple of decent moves. I think me and Matthew both agree that they had a great free agency. They signed Blake Wheeler. They get the defenseman. It's been so long, I don't really remember. But they got Wheeler Gustafson, a good third line defenseman there. He had a good offensive season this past year under Laviolette. They got Bonino for the fourth line, a solid fourth line center. Which one that they really did? They really haven't had a legit fourth line center. It was a grimy guy in a while. I think that was a pretty good under the radar signing, and the Rangers did pretty good here. I mean, they made a lot of signings in that 2-day period. So good for Chris Drury. I think he's recognizing that the team has to get solidified, not all these superstars at the deadline. So I really like what he did, especially with Blake Wheeler, who was kind of surprising.
I think they filled their 3 biggest needs. A right wing, we were always looking at the roster and we're like, oh, there are too many left wing, Lafreniere, Kakko, Panarin. It was like, oh, it's just too many people on the left side. And they never really had a right wing. Then they got Tarasenko and Kane, but whatever, it didn't work out. But I'm happy this fills a need at right wing. A quick backup goalie, didn't have another backup goalie. So I think that's a good signing. He always wanted to be at the Rangers. I kind of like it. It's like the veteran minimum. He's not that bad quick he can fill in 15, 20 games. Bonino, they were always alternating with Greg McKegg, Johnny Brodinski, like random people on the fourth line, Ryan Carpenter. And so I think this is going to bring stability to that, the fourth line center position. He's kind of pesky, kills penalties. And you said this when the Rangers faced the Penguins, it was like a hard guy to play against. And that's what you need in the playoffs and when the going gets tough. So I like that signing. And in Gustafson, they've always, and in these past years, they've struggled with the 6th defenseman. Nemeth was a big problem for them. Last year, Zach Jones, Harper, they kept going, and then Mikola. They haven't really found the guy to hold down the third left defenseman spot. And this guy, for a third left defenseman, I think he's going to be very good in that position. So that's another good sign. Then they made some depth signings. Guys get injured. You fill in guys like Riley Nash, Tyler Pitlick. Those guys have NHL experience. Like Riley Nash had 30 goals 3-4 years ago. NHL experience. They could fill in on the fourth line. So I feel more comfortable this year about the depth and the positions of need. It seems like it's a more filled out roster than it has been in years past.
You're right. I really love the moves. I was shocked. I thought they were going to be kind of quiet because of the cap number, but they made it work with all these guys. I mean, Blake Wheeler got such a great contract for the team. I think what was it, 900,000 or even
800. 800.
800,000 for what was it, 2-year contract
1-1.
or one year contract? 800. I mean, and that's so great. I mean, the guy had 50. What, he had like 54 points last year, and like
Yeah, legit.
upwards of 20 goals. I mean, this guy's gonna be a contributor for your team. You know, maybe it's the third line or second line, but he's gonna be pretty good for your team. I think that's a really solid signing. I think the Rangers did pretty well with the resources that they had. They did pretty well. I think they did the best they could, and they rounded out the team pretty well. So you have your lineup set there, no questions going into, training camp for the Rangers. So
I think there are still some questions though. I read yesterday that the holdup on Lafreniere, it seems like they might be looking for Kane or Tarasenko maybe on a cheap deal. Tarasenko, I heard, wants to stay with the Rangers. I heard that's a holdup.
He hasn't been signed yet,
and they would trade the rights for Lafreniere. But
really,
so it's interesting. That's interesting to me. Ultimately, I don't think there's enough space. Tarasenko, like I think the lowest, he's a good player. Like the lowest I think you have to go is like $4 million if you're Tarasenko. And Lafreniere, they have space like 2.8 or something or 2.5 for Lafreniere. And
probably, I mean, if Tarasenko wants to prove himself for a year, maybe he goes as low as 3 or maybe 2 if he wants to approve a deal, and then cash out. He has one good year and then he cashes out next year if the market's not as strong this year.
But he's on a spot right now to get $20 million, probably 4 years, 5
you're right.
5 AV.
You're right, but a lot of these teams, think about this: the cap only went up $1 million. So a lot of these teams are kind of in cap trouble. I don't think a lot of these teams can afford him for that much. Maybe a team like the Hurricanes, who he's rumored to sign with, then he fired his agent. He got a new agent after that deal got leaked. It's a really weird situation what's happening.
Yeah.
Now Kane hasn't even been rumored to anybody yet. It's been so strange.
He had surgery. He had the hip surgery.
He had surgery, but he hasn't even been rumored to a team like this. I heard like the Sabres are interested. Maybe that's like Sabres, Rangers, and I think that's it. Like I don't think, or he might retire. Like I don't know. I can see Kane coming back on a cheap deal, like kind of a deal like Wheeler, maybe a little bit more. I can see it.
The Tarasenko one, Kane, I heard that he's going to miss the start of next season. So maybe like, you get healthy, you put a showcase on for the teams, you show
maybe
you're going to be like a wanted commodity then, maybe not now so much. But Tarasenko, like he's not, Kane is like also 35. Tarasenko is like 31, 32, has a couple good years left, a good production, two-way player to some extent. I was really surprised, no contract. I think that maybe he wants to stay with the Rangers, but I would agree that he does getting rid of Lafreniere. And the other big piece, getting rid of Goodrow. Why do they love Goodrow so much? He's okay. He's like third, fourth liner, but at $3.6 million, and he's put up like 30, 40 points the last 2 seasons. He's not at the point where he's untradeable. I think you could still trade him, but I think soon that contract is 6 years, 3.6 a year.
Yeah,
it's going to become a bad contract. I mean, I would get ahead of that now, and I would trade.
It's so unfortunate when they traded Buchnevich for Sammy Blais, because Buchnevich is playing. If you look at his metrics, he is one of the best forwards in
two-way too, like 99
two-way at even strength. Ranger fans always used to kill him because he couldn't finish. But this
guy
really stepped it up with the Blues. He found that finishing touch.
Incredible.
And was really developed into a really great player. And the Rangers, that was a horrible move. That's inexcusable. I mean, moving him for that, he's getting paid at $5 million with the Blues, I think. And the Rangers are playing Goodrow, like you said, 3.5. Imagine having Buchnevich instead of Goodrow. Imagine the difference that would make for your team. A guy that actually scores at even strength. A lot of the guys are power play merchants on the team. That's the reality. I mean, Mika Zibanejad is not a great even strength player. I mean, look, he's one of the best centers in the league, but he's not a great. He scores a lot of his points on the power play. Scores a lot of goals on the power play.
slap
You need
shot.
a guy like Buchnevich. Yeah, you need a guy like Buchnevich who could actually be a force at even strength. The Rangers are lacking that. I think that's their one weakness going into the season. At even strength, they're not a great. They don't have a lot of weapons. I think
and we just said right wing. Yeah. There's your right winger. He was a right winger. Buchnevich.
Right there.
Yeah, you're right. And no. He was coming off. He wasn't terrible. How did they trade him for Sammy Blais?
I want to look at the numbers.
He just lacked a little bit of finishing touch with the Rangers. He wasn't that bad, and they traded him for.
I think it's the coaching.
I mean,
the coaching got to him. That's what it was. He was always a great player with untapped potential. The Rangers did not. And look at this last year. I mean, you look at the production he's put up with the Blue Jackets in 2021-22. He had 76 points, 30 goals. Last year, 67 points, 26 goals in 63 games. This guy's a point per game player, even better than that. And he scores 30 goals a year. This guy is pretty good. Even with the Rangers last year, 48 points in 54 games, that's good. 20 goals. I mean, how is this bad? Like, how are the Rangers not see something in him.
No,
He was
yeah,
putting up decent production.
even if they wanted to get rid of him, which at the time, like, it kind of made sense to move on, but
Maybe,
the
yeah.
package they got, at some point you got to say like,
Terrible.
oh, we're looking to move on, but no, the market's just not there, so we're gonna
Yeah.
keep him for
If
now.
you were going to move on from get at least a solid player back, they got Sammy Blay. The guy is a minor league player.
And he's back on the Blues. The Blues gave up
He's back.
nothing in
They gave
hindsight.
him nothing. I mean, it's so frustrating. I mean, really miss Bouchard. He was a young player too. He was 26 when they traded. Now he's 28, so he's in the beginning of his prime. Traded a player like that. It's disappointing. A player that was drafted by the Rangers and someone that they looked like they finally developed, a player that they developed, and they just let go of him. Disappointing.
For nothing.
I mean, look, we used to kill Bouchard when he was on the team, but that was kind of like a hard love thing. We really wanted. I saw the potential there when he was on the team. He was a talented player. He did get a lot of chances. Like
I thought he was.
he had 40 goals that year.
Yeah,
got a
no, I
lot
think
of
he could have. The thing was always finishing. Now he's a good finisher. It was like it was the finishing. Otherwise, I thought he was a good player. Like on the margins, he was a good player. It was just the finish. But he's shorted up now, and he's one of the best players in the league now. And it's like you said, it's disappointing to get nothing back in return when he was under team control. And you got, I don't know who they used. Like they got a pick back with him, like second round or third round, and Sammy Blay, who's now back on the Blues.
Yeah.
I mean, the pick wasn't notable because they don't draft. The Rangers don't develop any of their players either. But it's so disappointing. And maybe it was a cap crunch at the time too. But like you said, they went out and then that same free agency, they signed Barclay Goodrow 3.6.
Yeah, so they could have afforded him,
right? And
I don't.
To clear out an extra 1.4, that's clearing out. These last two guys that they signed today, whatever, Riley Nash and Tyler Pitt, like that combines for 1.5. So you're right. It's, they could have easily cleared the space, and especially in hindsight. And
absolutely,
it's unfortunate.
Yep.
But I like the Rangers free agency this year.
It was very good. I give it like a solid A. I really liked it. And
I give it A-.
A-. Nick signing Dante DiVincenzo, that was big. That was essentially their big move of the offseason. They didn't really make a move after that. But DiVincenzo, I like the move. I mean, it's like the right now. They have Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo, three guys from 2018 Villanova. Not 2018. I think Hart was on the 2016, but three guys that have been Villanova players. And Dante DiVincenzo is a solid player. He was a guy that the Knicks were missing, a good 3-point shooter from the perimeter. I think they were missing that. Obviously, they had Evan Fournier, but he didn't play. So really no one was at that role. But now they can shoot and could be dangerous late in games. I really like the move, and he's a good defender too.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really used to like the Villanova people, honestly, the Villanova guys. Maybe just like as a factor of not watching or really not knowing them. But watching Brunson, watching Hart, there's no question to me that the effort factor. Some guys come from other Kentucky, Duke, like Randall. He mopes around on the court sometimes. Barrett's like lazy on defense sometimes. There's no questioning the Villanova guys' efforts. I really like the move. They get rebounds. They get offensive rebounds. They dish out assists. They block. They steal. They play defense, and they shoot well too. And I really like it. The other move, the corresponding move with this was Josh Hart was expected to opt out of his player option, and he ended up opting in. I guess they want to play with DiVincenzo. Maybe they have like an extension kind of, their talks. But I really like the move. I think he's going to help off the bench, be like a facilitator. You're right. They were missing it. And the shooting, I think this guy's somebody who can close games for them too. Sometimes the shooting, even in the starting five, was lacking. Randall, Robinson doesn't shoot. Barrett is not a great 3-point shooter. But in a stretch, this is somebody who's going to end up closing for them too. And I think that this is going to end up being another good signing. And I think the Villanova people at this point are proven. They put in good effort too. You get the tangibles things.
I love the move, and we'll go with the crazy rumor now, Matthew. I know you probably seen it. Embiid said he wants to win a championship, whether it's with the 76ers or another team. So he threw out the possibility of a team, and the Knicks have always been linked to Embiid. They have that guy. I think what's the agent's name? That guy Rose. He was an Embiid guy. Knicks have a lot of connections to Embiid. So if Embiid asks out, oh boy, I think the Knicks would be the contenders to land him. And wouldn't that be something if they land Joel Embiid, the MVP winner from last season? So I'm just throwing it out there. I think that's the missing piece right there. If you get Joel Embiid, the Knicks are immediate championship contenders. Immediate. That would be incredible.
Yeah, that's an upgrade over. It's an upgrade over the current person there is Mitchell Robinson. So of course that's an upgrade. And the Knicks are in a position. I see they have, what is it, like 9 first-round picks over the next 6 years. There's a lot to work with. And then there is young talent that other teams would want quickly. Quentin Grimes, even Mitchell Robinson. You got to give up. Randall obviously might be part of the trade just for the salary purpose. And I think the Knicks have the pieces, and we've been saying this for a while, where they can make the move soon. So no. I don't think that's happening. It's not happening this offseason. Maybe next offseason.
No, it could soon. Yeah.
And
I think that
the Sixers. But I don't know.
The Sixers are under a lot of pressure to win because James Harden just asked out. So maybe Embiid, if they go through that trade request and they trade Harden, maybe Embiid would get angered by that and would question the direction the team is heading in. Like, you never know. These players can get disgruntled, and a trade request can happen just like with a snap of a finger. It can happen very quick. And I think if Embiid requests a trade, I think the Sixers are going to honor that request because he's been their franchise guy. I don't think they're going to dishonor him. I don't think they're going to make him angry. They don't want an angry guy coming back to the team. So I think if Embiid asks out of the anytime soon with the 76ers, the Knicks are going to land him. I really think it makes so much sense. I mean, imagine that would be so great watching the Knicks every night with Joel Embiid. It would be so fun. I mean, I know it's very far-fetched now, but I think it really could become reality.
Yeah. No, I think it's a possibility. I think that he would solve some of the things that the biggest concerns with the Knicks, and yeah, I think the Knicks right now too. You would lose some of this in a trade to Embiid, but I think one of their strong suits right now is there's a lot of depth on the roster. I think they have good backups at every position. Brunson's backed up by Quickly. Grimes probably still going to be a starter. Then they have Barrett and Grimes backed up by DiVincenzo and Hart, Randall, and then Robinson's backed up by Isaiah Hartenstein. So I think there's a lot of good pieces, and it's a good rotation. I don't think they're gonna have a good year this year, and yeah, I still don't think they're at the point where they're going to be like a championship contender. So yeah, maybe an Embiid trade to the Knicks, moves them that level up. But I don't think I don't know. You're right. It could happen anytime, but it seems like the chips aren't in place right now. I don't know. I don't think there's enough steam right now.
We'll see. You never know.
Maybe.
I just think the question would be
the Yankees have lost today.
Oh, breaking news. The Yankees have lost another game. I mean, this is really embarrassing what's going on now. They are 1-5 since the All-Star break. It's just embarrassing. And 2-7 against the Cubs, Rockies, and Angels. I mean, that's just really pitiful.
Three below, not even below 5. No, 3 below 500 teams.
It has to end soon. I mean, what do they have now? 3.5 out of the wild card, 4 games in the loss column.
Yeah,
it's getting late. It's getting late early here with the playoffs. It really is.
No,
it's very early.
Yeah, I kind of think the East is weak this year, and that like the Central's not good. So not the East. The AL is weak this year, and that the Central's not good, and the West is not that good. They're still,
the West is all right.
Yeah,
I think the West is not bad. Still get Texas and Houston solid.
Right, but they can still get into wild card. 2.5, 3.5 games out. But no, the NL. Even if they were to make it to World Series, all those teams, no, they're not going to, in the DS or the wild card, they're just going to lose. They're not better than the Orioles, the Rays, the Astros, the Rangers, any of those teams in the AL alone. And it's a weak AL, and it's a shame. But
the Orioles are in first place right now.
Good for them.
They just tied the Rays. Good for them. They are actually 2 games ahead in the loss column, so they have a lot of games in hand. So look, the Orioles, man, what a turnaround. They're an exciting team. That's a team that I would love to watch as a fan. So exciting, young and hungry, exciting. Just like, dude, that would be such a fun team to watch. The lineup that they have with all these young guys. Even Aaron Hicks is playing well there, right? Now,
of course,
I mean,
now,
of course. You would guess that would happen. But they have guys like Gunnar Henderson, Rutschman, Austin Hayes, like all these guys. Even Cedric Mullins is fun to watch. All these young guys, The Yankees just they don't have that young star power. I know Volpe
No.
could be that guy, but right now he's not. And all these guys that do come up, they become immediate young guns and young stars already. They're immediate stars, and I wish the Yankees had that. They don't have young. Like MLB has had so many young, exciting players like Acuna, like Rutschman, like Julio Rodriguez. The Yankees just don't have those guys. They just don't. It's disappointing.
Yeah. No, I think that's we talked about, covered a lot of things.
Got it. Well, actually, I want to say one more thing with
Okay.
the Denzel Mims trade package came out. It's a conditional sixth rounder for the Jets, and the Jets get this conditional sixth rounder. I don't know what the condition is on that, and they give up a seventh rounder in 2025. So I mean,
it's really
it's basically nothing.
You know what, the conditional is not going to hit because the conditional is like going to be he needs to make some catches and get some yards, and quite frankly, I don't think he's going to end up playing a lot on the Lions. So it's a dump either way. It's it's a 7 first.
At least they got
it's better than cutting him. You have gone nothing.
Yeah.
Now at least you have the conditional 6.
It's why I think it might be a 6 that becomes a 5 if he plays. Maybe
I don't think so.
I really don't know what it is.
Usually they say conditional first rounder, like it's a second going down to a first.
You're right.
I don't know.
We'll
see. Either way, it was a good episode. Next time, hopefully we're having a positive conversation on the Yankees. The Jets, the Jets might be close to their Hall of Fame game, and the Giants have reported, and we'll be around the corner from, next thing you know, hockey and basketball. All right,
Matthew, great episode as always.
And
thanks to everyone for tuning in. See you next time.